I had a subscriber write in and ask, is it possible to go diving when you're on a cruise ship? We're going to talk about that. Good morning, friends. Instructor Doug here, and as you can see, maybe behind me, you can tell that I am on the Liberty of the Seas Royal Caribbean ship, and we are headed between Florida and the Bahamas. It's kind of a cloudy day at sea today, but not too bad. So as I mentioned before the break, a subscriber wrote in and asked, is it possible to go diving while you're on a cruise ship? The short answer is yes. The longer answer has a little more details, but we'll get into that in a minute. This itinerary that we're doing on this trip is the same itinerary that I did on my very first cruise, which was about 28 years ago now. And we also went to Nassau. It was a first time for the whole family. They weren't really sure whether they were going to like the cruise or not. And we just did like a little short 3-day trip over to the Bahamas. And it was a lot of fun. But along the way, I discovered that there was an opportunity to do a dive excursion. So yes, I jumped on that. And I think it was through Stewart Cove, if I remember correctly. And when we got to port, we jumped on the bus. Turns out Stewart Cove is on the opposite side of the island from where the boat was docked. So it was a bit of a bus ride to get there. And we had to stop and pick up a few people along the way. The trip was interesting from that aspect. When we get out to Stewart Cove, it was a great dive spot that we went to. A couple of underwater movie sets. I think one was from a James Bond film. Another one was from the movie name escapes me now, but they were both very interesting. And I recognized the one from the James Bond film, being a big James Bond fan myself. So the dives were really good. The trip on the way back was interesting because we had to stop probably 4 times at various resorts to let people off. And I finally got back to the cruise ship, and my family was like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? They were already sitting down eating dinner, and I had just gotten back to the ship, still had to shower, clean my gear. So I got to dinner just as they were having dessert. So it was interesting, but that was the only time that ever happened. So still, it was a fun day that day. Since that time, I've been many places in the Caribbean, thanks to being on the cruise ship. Been to Aruba, Curacao. Curacao is kind of my favorite spot, and Jamaica, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. So the opportunity to dive while on a cruise ship is there. And I want to kind of share a few of my experiences with you about that. One of my favorite places to go diving is Curacao. Curacao is way down by South America. It's off the coast of Venezuela. And it takes a little bit to get there. So a lot of people don't go that far south to go diving. So the reefs are in pretty good condition down there. They very pristine, lots of fish, and it was just a wonderful time. I did several dive excursions from the cruise ship, but there was one time that I booked a local guide, not through the cruise ship, and she was excellent. She was a Dutch girl, very familiar with the island and the reefs, and we went to kind of an out-of-the-way place. It was pretty nice, and got to see lots of amazing reef and eels and sharks, and it was just an amazing time. So do you always have to book through the cruise ship? Not really. Sometimes the cruise ship excursions are kind of like a cattle boat kind of thing, where they take you to the place where all the tourists go, and sometimes it's better to get off the beaten path and go to the place where people don't go. So another question is whether you should rent your gear or bring your own gear. There are pros and cons to both. Personally, I prefer to bring my own gear. I know it works, number one. I know I've had it serviced, and I'm comfortable with it. Once upon a time, it used to be an issue whether the gear that you were getting from the local dive shop was in good shape, had been serviced. Not so much now. These days, it's not that something to worry about. They take better care of everything and make sure that it's all good. But I prefer my own stuff. I'm more comfortable with my own gear. I have it set the way I like it, straps and buckles and everything. So it's a lot easier to get geared up and get in the water, as opposed to trying to fix something that's unfamiliar to me. There is another advantage to bringing your own dive gear. Usually the excursions are slightly cheaper because you're not renting your gear. Lately, though, however, that has become a problem with cruise ship lines because they're not offering the option of a cheaper excursion for those that bring their own dive gear. You can still do it, but it's not as cost beneficial. So the main thing is it's probably just more convenient because it's your gear and you're familiar with it. The other thing you have to consider when you're bringing your own dive gear is what kind of gear bag you're going to bring it in. Are you going to bring it in a backpack bag? Are you going to bring it in a wheelie duffel bag? So you kind of got to do a little research on where you're going to be diving, because the terrain can dictate what kind of bag you need. For instance, if you're in a port like Nassau, there is a very long concrete dock to get from the ship actually to the place where you're going to get on your boat. A wheelie bag is very useful there. If you can handle a backpack, that's great, but it's a really, really long walk. Then in other circumstances, a wheelie bag might not be good. You've got, let's see, I think it was in Aruba. We had a dive shop that was a little bit off the beaten path, and the path to the boat was kind of through a little bit of a jungle, roots and stuff across the path, and that kind of made it tough for those that had wheelie bags that day. I had a backpack that day, and I didn't have any trouble with the jungle path. And then when we got to the dive boat, we actually had to walk in the water to the boat. So we had to wade out about waist deep and put our dive bags on our heads. You can imagine the people with the big wheelie bags were like, ah. And my backpack was not so heavy, so it was okay to put it over my head. So depending on where you go, backpack bag, wheelie bag, that's up to you. Can you go diving on the cruise itinerary? Absolutely, you can. Just check with the cruise lines. Not all ports have a dive excursion, and plan ahead a little bit. Figure out what kind of gear you're going to bring and when, and what kind of bag you're going to use. Whether you want to use the excursion through the cruise ship, or whether you want to book outside the cruise ship. And plan yourself to have a really great time. So thanks to my subscriber for writing in the question about whether or not you could dive on a cruise ship. Hopefully we've answered that question for you. And if you have any questions like that you want to ask that we can talk about maybe in a future video, that would be great. And go ahead and submit them in the comments down below. And also, while you're there, why don't you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when more videos come out. Hopefully we'll see you on a dive excursion, cruise ship, or otherwise in the future.